Today we're converting a master bedroom to the industrial style. Phase 1, brick accent wall using faux panels. Let's rock. I started with the idea of an industrial canopy bed, and that helped me identify the exact location of new lighting to be cut into the drywall and wired before the bricks were up. I did this by measuring out the room, drawing it on paper, and then redrawing it full scale in Adobe Illustrator. This helps me plan ahead and visualize every aspect of the design and its location so that I can do a simple painter's tape mock-up for review. So now I just check my design against the actual room using a tape measure, laser level, and painter's tape. I shot in the location of the new lighting, and after I made a few adjustments, I was really happy with it. The last step was to get an electrician to pull wire from the old switch to the new box behind the location of the two sconces that I marked out. If you guys aren't changing your lighting location, turn your switch off, turn your breaker off, take your fixture off your wall, cap your wires, and you're good to go. If you guys are having panels delivered to you like I did, then check for shipping damage right away, because about half the panels that I got had broken tabs and I had to delay my installation by a few weeks. The manufacturer sent new replacement panels, but those had broken tabs too. So my only choice was to repair the broken ends using panel adhesive. This actually turned out great once dried, and none of those broken tabs broke back off during installation. Before starting, I wanted to check one last time the number of panels that I previously estimated it would take to cover the height of the wall. So I counted out the panels, laid them out flat, and measured the total length, which was spot on. Before I get into the build, I hope you guys consider subscribing or checking out some merch I designed at seizethediy.com. For a list of specific tools and materials that I used in this build, check the caption below. First thing I did was check for the highest spot on the floor or baseboard below the wall that I'm installing on by setting down a laser level and measuring up from there. Then I positioned my panel on that high point, marked the top edge, and I snapped a chalk line. For every new row, you'll snap a line at the height of the first panel. Because the wall will be covered by panels and you're working from bottom to top, I located each stud across the top edge of the wall using a stud finder and marked them off for reference. The first installed panel needs to have the tabs cut off the edge to be able to fit flush against the corner of the wall, then each progressive panel fits nicely on top of the next. I decided to use one of my damaged panels first because the tabs were already broken off and it would save me time not having to repair it. But save all of those extra pieces that you cut off because you may need them for the other side of the wall when you get there. I used a square and a level to mark this out, but I really should have used a T-square. I cut the edge off the panel using a skill saw with a finish blade. Make sure you wear a filter mask. I set the depth of the brad nailer to be just below the surface. It just so happens that the first panel I'm installing is right on top of an electrical outlet, so I positioned my laser level right on the corner, put my panel on top, shot one brad nail in, marked the location with painter's tape, and pulled the panel back off. Then used another outlet cover to trace the remainder. I drilled a few pilot holes to begin, and then it was ready for the jigsaw. Once the hole was cut, the first panel was ready to install, so I ran lines of panel adhesive at about 3 inches apart on the back. I positioned the panel's top edge on the chalk line, then I secured it with one brad nail, checked if it was level, and then shot in the rest of the brad nails in between each brick on the faux mortar down the line of the laser level positioned where the stud was. With each new row that you start, you need to cut the tabs off the first panel. But don't reuse the same measurement for the next row or you'll get a vertical seam all the way up the wall. So the next row's first panel gets more cut off the edge so that the seams are offset. The amount you cut off needs to result in the brick pattern staying consistent from one panel to the next. The left side of the last panel needs to be trimmed to fit. Or if your row ends in a very small piece, then you can reuse that sliver you saved that you cut off the first panel on the right. Then reuse the measurements you used for the first panels of the first and second row and alternate them all the way up the wall with each new row you start. Due to manufacturing variations, the panels don't fit perfectly. So I tested the fit by shooting a brad nail in the center top edge and rocking it back and forth so that I wouldn't have to hold the weight of the panel. If it fit well, I just pulled it off the wall and reinstalled it, and if it didn't, I ended up trimming and beveling the bottom two edges with a utility knife. And that just added a little bit of movement and adjustment when I was installing the panel to be able to line them up perfectly. I decided to use gray deck screws as well because they helped secure each panel snugly, but also blended in with the faux mortar. One thing that I forgot to mention was adding the panel adhesive to the back of the tabs and flanges. For one of the electrical boxes, put your laser level right in the center, hang one of the panels with a few brad nails, make sure it's level, mark it off, pull it back off the wall, and you're ready to drill with a hole saw bit. One tip is to not only install the brad nails right down the line of the stud, but also on the end of each tab to hold it really tight onto the other panel. I don't know if other DIYers and builders have this feeling, but when you're holding that last piece of the project, there's this feeling of magnitude, like you're holding an accumulation of every good decision, measurement, and ounce of hard work you put in. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to catch more cool ideas and phase 2 of this redesign, please subscribe.